Ladies and gentlemen, if you enjoy my video, please click the like button and share the video. It is the only way the YouTube algorithms really notices me. I will be very grateful to you. Sinister Shadows of Night. Scary story published by Scray Fiction. Read for you by Scray Fiction. Chapter 1. The Invitation. In the heart of Chicago, Alex Harper sat in a cramped newsroom, tapping away at a keyboard. The city's constant hum filtered through the cracked window, mingling with the persistent ring of telephones and the rustle of papers. Alex's desk, cluttered with old newspapers and empty coffee cups, bore witness to countless hours spent chasing down stories, each one more mundane than the last. But Alex thrived on debunking myths, exposing frauds, and dismantling urban legends with cold, hard facts. "Hey, Alex, you got a letter," called Chris, Alex's friend and a history buff with an insatiable curiosity for the past. Chris tossed the envelope onto the desk, where it landed with a soft thud amidst the chaos. Alex eyed the letter with mild curiosity. Handwritten on parchment paper, it was a relic in this digital age. Breaking the wax seal, Alex unfolded the letter, skimming the elegant script. The invitation was clear. Blackwood Mansion, a remote estate with a dark past, was the subject of the story that could make Alex's career. "Chris, you ever hear of Blackwood Mansion?" Alex asked, holding up the letter. Chris's eyes lit up. "Are you kidding? That place is legendary. Supposedly haunted, with a history of disappearances and deaths. It's a gold mine for a history geek like me." Alex sighed, considering the implications. "And you think it's worth the trip?" Before Chris could answer, Sam strolled over, a skeptic with a knack for debunking ghost stories. "Haunted mansions? Really, Alex? Sounds like another wild goose chase." Lily, the sensitive, with an inexplicable connection to the supernatural, overheard and joined the conversation. "Blackwood Mansion isn't just any haunted house, Sam. I've felt drawn to it for years. There's something there, something real." The room fell silent as the group contemplated the invitation. Each of them had their reasons for being intrigued: Chris for the history, Sam for the challenge, and Lily for the supernatural pull. For Alex, it was a chance to break out of the mundane and find a story that could redefine their career. "All right," Alex decided, folding the letter with a determined smile. "We're going to Blackwood Mansion. Let's see if this place lives up to its legend." As they prepared for the journey, tensions simmered beneath the surface. Personal motivations clashed, but the promise of a groundbreaking story bound them together. The road ahead was uncertain, but the thrill of the unknown beckoned them forward into the heart of darkness that awaited at Blackwood Mansion. With bags packed and a sense of foreboding hanging in the air, Alex and the team set out, unaware of the horrors that lay in wait. The invitation had been accepted, and there was no turning back. Chapter 2. Arrival at Blackwood Mansion. The winding road to Blackwood Mansion grew narrower and more desolate with each passing mile. As the group approached the outskirts of the small, almost forgotten town, an uneasy silence settled over them. The trees, twisted and gnarled, loomed overhead like skeletal sentinels, their branches casting eerie shadows in the fading light. The mansion emerged from the mist, its decaying grandeur standing stark against the twilight sky. Ivy clung to its stone walls, and broken windows gaped like empty eye sockets. The wrought iron gates creaked ominously as Alex pushed them open, leading the way up the cracked and overgrown path. "Welcome to Blackwood Mansion," Chris murmured, his voice tinged with awe and trepidation. Lily shivered, pulling her coat tighter around her. "There's something here, something dark," she whispered, her eyes darting nervously. Sam rolled his eyes, but even he couldn't hide the apprehension in his voice. "It's just an old house. Let's get this over with." As they stepped inside, the air grew cold and still. Dust motes danced in the weak shafts of light that filtered through the grimy windows. The grand foyer, once a testament to wealth and power, now stood in silent decay. Cobwebs draped the chandeliers, and faded portraits of stern-faced ancestors lined the walls, their eyes seeming to follow the intruders. "Let's split up," Alex suggested, their voice betraying a hint of the unease they felt. "We'll cover more ground that way." Chris headed towards the library, drawn by the promise of historical secrets. Sam went to the basement, determined to debunk the ghost stories. Lily, despite her fear, ventured upstairs, sensing a pull she couldn't ignore. Alex stayed in the foyer, examining the grand staircase and the rooms that branched off it. As Alex moved through the mansion, strange noises echoed through the halls, distant whispers, creaking floorboards, and the occasional thud that seemed to come from nowhere. Cold spots lingered in certain areas, sending shivers down their spine. In the parlor, Alex found a collection of unsettling artifacts: a cracked porcelain doll, an antique music box that played a haunting melody, and a rusted key with no apparent lock. Meanwhile, Lily's journey upstairs led her to a small, locked door at the end of a narrow hallway. She felt an overwhelming sense of dread emanating from behind it. Trembling, she called for the others, her voice barely above a whisper. Alex, Chris, and Sam converged at the top of the stairs. Together, they forced the door open, revealing a hidden room shrouded in darkness. In the center stood an ancient, ornate mirror covered in cryptic symbols. "What is this?" Chris asked, his voice filled with wonder and fear. Alex's skepticism wavered as they stared into the mirror's depths, feeling a strange pull. Lily stepped forward, her hand reaching out as if in a trance. "Don't touch it," Alex warned, but it was too late. Lily's fingers brushed the glass, and a cold, malevolent force seemed to pulse through the room. A sudden gust of wind slammed the door shut, plunging them into darkness. The mirror's surface rippled, and ghostly figures began to emerge, their eyes glowing with an eerie light. The group stood frozen, their breath coming in ragged gasps. The hidden room had revealed its secret, and the horrors of Blackwood Mansion were only beginning. Chapter 3: The First Night. Darkness settled over Blackwood Mansion like a suffocating shroud. The oppressive silence was broken only by the occasional creak of settling timbers and the distant hoot of an owl. Alex, Chris, Sam, and Lily gathered in the grand parlor, their faces lit by the flickering flames of a hastily built fire. The hidden room and its sinister mirror haunted their thoughts, casting a pall over the evening. "We need to stick together," Alex said, their voice tight with unease. "This place is playing tricks on us." "Tricks," Sam scoffed. "That mirror was no trick. There's something seriously wrong here." Lily sat apart, her gaze distant and haunted. "It's the mirror. It's a gateway," she murmured. "I felt it." Chris, ever the historian, flipped through the pages of an old book he'd found earlier. "I think I might have something," he said, drawing their attention. This diary belonged to Eleanor Blackwood, the mansion's original owner. Before Chris could read aloud, a sudden, chilling whisper echoed through the room. The fire flickered violently, casting twisted shadows on the walls. The group froze, eyes darting around, searching for the source. "Did you hear that?" Alex whispered, their skepticism wavering. As the night wore on, the disturbances grew more frequent. Shadows moved of their own accord. Objects shifted and fell without explanation, and cold, unseen hands seemed to brush against them. The air grew heavy with malevolence, pressing down on their chests like an unseen weight. Lily's breathing quickened as she clutched her head, eyes wide with terror. The mirror, it's showing me things. In her vision, the mirror's surface rippled, revealing glimpses of Eleanor Blackwood performing dark rituals, her face twisted with madness. She saw blood, sigils, and the anguished faces of victims. Lily's scream shattered the night, pulling the others from their paralysis. "Lily, what is it?" Alex rushed to her side, but the vision had left her pale and trembling, unable to speak. Tensions rose, the oppressive atmosphere amplifying their fear and paranoia. Alex struggled to maintain their rationality, but the mansion's sinister influence gnawed at their resolve. Chris delved deeper into the diary, hoping to find answers. "Listen to this," Chris said, his voice shaky. Eleanor wrote about a ritual to achieve eternal life. The mirror, it's the key. It holds the souls of her victims. A heavy silence followed his words, the group absorbing the gravity of their situation. The mansion wasn't just haunted, it was a prison for tormented spirits, and they were now entangled in its curse. "We need to get out of here," Sam insisted, his bravado crumbling. "This place is dangerous." "We can't leave yet," Alex countered, though their fear was palpable. "We need to understand what we're dealing with." As the fire dwindled, casting long, eerie shadows, the group realized they were in a fight for their sanity and their lives. The first night in Blackwood Mansion had revealed its true horrors, and the darkness was far from over. They huddled together, trying to draw strength from each other, knowing that the malevolent presence within the mansion was growing stronger. The mirror's secrets were slowly unfolding, and with them, the terrifying legacy of Eleanor Blackwood. Chapter 4: Unraveling the Past. Morning brought a pale, wintry light to Blackwood Mansion, doing little to dispel the shadows that clung to its halls. The group, shaken but determined, gathered in the foyer, nursing cups of bitter coffee. "We need to find out more about Eleanor Blackwood," Alex said, voice firm. "We split up. Chris, you and I will head to the local library. Lily, Sam, you stay here and go through the rest of the mansion. There's got to be more information hidden somewhere." With a plan in place, Alex and Chris made their way to the town's library, a dusty relic nestled among forgotten storefronts. The librarian, a frail old woman with sharp eyes, raised an eyebrow at their request for records on Blackwood Mansion. "Not many come asking about that place," she said, leading them to a section filled with yellowing newspapers and crumbling ledgers. Dark history, that mansion. Alex and Chris spent hours poring over documents. They learned that Eleanor Blackwood had once been a respected socialite. Her descent into madness began after the sudden deaths of her husband and son. Obsessed with the occult, she sought to cheat death and reunite with her family. The records painted a picture of a woman consumed by grief and desperation, her rituals growing darker and more dangerous. "Listen to this," Chris whispered, reading from a particularly old ledger. Eleanor performed a final ritual intended to grant eternal life. Instead, it bound the souls of her victims to the mansion, creating the curse. Meanwhile, back at the mansion, Lily and Sam explored the dusty, forgotten rooms. The air was thick with the scent of decay, and the creaking floorboards seemed to whisper secrets. In a forgotten study, they found another diary, its pages brittle with age. "This must be Eleanor's," Lily murmured, thumbing through the diary's delicate pages. "She talks about the ritual, how it required sacrifices. Human sacrifices." Suddenly, the temperature in the room dropped. Lily's breath came out in frosty puffs. She turned to find Sam, but he was gone, vanished without a sound. "Sam," panic edged her voice. "Sam, where are you?" Her search led her to the grand staircase, where she saw a ghostly figure. At the top, a woman in a tattered gown, eyes hollow and empty. Lily's scream echoed through the mansion, reaching Alex and Chris as they returned. "Lily, what happened?" Alex rushed to her side. "Sam, he's gone," she stammered. "And I saw her, Eleanor." The group's determination hardened into resolve. The mansion's secrets were beginning to reveal themselves, and with them, the true horror of Eleanor's legacy. Alex, once a skeptic, now felt the undeniable presence of the supernatural, driven by the mounting evidence. As they regrouped, the air seemed to thicken with malevolence. The mansion was alive with whispers of the past, and the threat it posed grew more tangible with every passing moment. They knew they were running out of time. "Sam's still in here somewhere," Alex said, eyes burning with determination. "And we're going to find him. We're going to end this curse." The mansion creaked and groaned as if mocking their resolve. The group braced themselves, knowing that the horrors of Blackwood Mansion were far from over, and the battle for their survival had only just begun. Chapter 5: Descent into Madness. The oppressive atmosphere inside Blackwood Mansion seemed to grow heavier with each passing hour. Shadows crept along the walls, and the air felt thick and suffocating. The group huddled in the grand parlor, their nerves frayed and their faces drawn with fear. "We need to find Sam," Alex said, the urgency in their voice barely masking their growing dread. "And we need to understand how to end this." The spirits of the mansion, once content to merely observe, had grown bolder. Whispers became screams, shadows moved with intent, and cold, ghostly fingers brushed against their skin. Each encounter left the group more shaken, their sense of reality slipping away. As they explored the mansion, Alex began experiencing vivid hallucinations. The lines between past and present blurred, and they saw Eleanor Blackwood moving through the halls, performing her dark rituals. Her eyes, hollow and filled with madness, seemed to bore into Alex's soul. In one chilling vision, Alex found themselves standing in the middle of a grand ball, the mansion restored to its former glory. The guests, dressed in finery from another era, danced and laughed, but their faces were twisted and grotesque. As Alex watched, the scene shifted, and the ballroom was drenched in blood, the guests' laughter turning to screams. "Alex!" Chris's voice snapped them back to reality. "What's happening to you?" I saw them," Alex stammered, struggling to shake off the lingering horror. "Eleanor and her victims. They're trapped here." Chris, ever the skeptic, shook his head. "It's just this place messing with our minds. We need to stay focused." But Alex's growing belief in the supernatural clashed with Chris's logical explanations, creating a rift between them. Meanwhile, Lily's sensitivity to the spirits became overwhelming. She clutched her head, tormented by the incessant whispers and visions. "I can't take it anymore," she cried. "They're everywhere, watching us, waiting." The mansion seemed to pulse with malevolent energy, pushing them to the brink of madness. During a desperate search for answers, Alex stumbled upon a hidden passage concealed behind a rotting tapestry. It led to an underground chamber, the air heavy with the scent of decay and dark magic. The chamber was filled with occult symbols and ritualistic artifacts, relics of Eleanor's dark practices. In the center stood a stone altar, covered in bloodstains and surrounded by ancient tomes. As they explored, Alex's eyes fell on a book with a familiar symbol, the same one etched into the mirror. "Look at this," Alex whispered, showing the others. "It's a ritual involving the mirror. It might be the key to lifting the curse." Chris scanned the pages, his skepticism giving way to grim understanding. "It requires a sacrifice, a life for a life. The revelation hung heavy in the air, the terrible cost of ending the curse stark and unavoidable. The group stood at the precipice of their sanity, the spirit's aggression mounting, and the weight of their decision pressing down on them. The mansion groaned and creaked, as if sensing their discovery. The path to salvation was clear, but the price was steep. The horrors of Blackwood Mansion were far from over, and the true test of their courage and resolve lay ahead. In the dim light of the underground chamber, the group faced the harrowing reality of their situation. Clock was ticking, and the spirits of the past demanded their due. Chapter 6. The Ritual. The underground chamber pulsed with an ominous energy, the air thick with the scent of decay and ancient magic. Alex, Chris, and Lily stood around the stone altar, their faces etched with fear and determination. The discovery of the ritual had given them a glimmer of hope, but the price it demanded cast a long shadow over their resolve. "We have to do this," Alex said, trying to steady their trembling hands. "It's the only way to save Sam and ourselves." Lily nodded, her eyes red from tears. "But what if it doesn't work? What if we make things worse?" Chris, ever the rationalist, scanned Eleanor's diary, seeking reassurance in the detailed instructions. "We have no choice. We're out of time, and the spirits are getting stronger." As they prepared the ritual, the mansion above seemed to react violently. The spirits' attacks grew more aggressive, shaking the walls and filling the air with unearthly wails. Objects flew across rooms, doors slammed shut, and cold, invisible hands clawed at their skin. Fear and doubt gnawed at them, but they pressed on, driven by desperation. Trust issues and past grudges surfaced under the immense pressure. Alex and Chris exchanged harsh words. Old wounds reopened in the heat of the moment. "This isn't just about debunking myths anymore, Chris," Alex snapped. "People's lives are at stake." "I know that," Chris shot back, frustration etched in his face. "But we need to stay focused. If we lose our heads, we're all dead." Lily's voice, trembling but resolute, cut through the tension. "Enough." With a fragile truce established, Alex held the mirror, its surface swirling with a dark, malevolent energy. Chris read aloud from Eleanor's diary, his voice steady despite the chaos around them. Lily, eyes closed in concentration, focused on channeling whatever strength she could muster. As the ritual progressed, the spirit's fury intensified. The chamber shook, and a bone-chilling cold enveloped them. The mirror's surface rippled violently, and ghostly figures clawed at the edges, desperate to break free. Suddenly, the ritual backfired. A surge of dark energy exploded from the mirror, knocking them to the ground. The spirits, unleashed in full force, swirled around them, their wails deafening. Alex struggled to their feet, realization dawning as they scanned Eleanor's diary. "There's something missing," they shouted over the cacophony. "We're missing a crucial element." Chris, barely holding the mirror steady, looked at Alex with desperation. "What is it? What are we missing?" In a moment of clarity, Alex remembered Eleanor's final diary entry, a cryptic passage they had overlooked in their haste. Eleanor mentioned a key, a relic that completes the ritual. "Without it, the spirits won't be bound." Lily's eyes widened in terror. "Where do we find it?" Before Alex could answer, a spectral hand grabbed them, pulling them towards the mirror's dark depths. The room spun, reality fracturing as the spirits closed in. "We have to find that key," Alex gasped, struggling against the spectral grip. "It's our only chance." The group's unity was pushed to its breaking point as they fought to survive the onslaught. The path to salvation had never been more perilous, and the true cost of lifting the curse was only beginning to reveal itself. The mansion's dark secrets were far from uncovered. and the ultimate test of their courage lay just ahead. Chapter 7: The Final Confrontation. The mansion was a war zone of supernatural chaos. Walls shook, windows shattered, and ghostly figures darted through the corridors, their wails echoing through the house. Alex, Chris, and Lily regrouped in the foyer, faces pale but resolute. "We need to find that key," Chris shouted over the din, clutching the diary. "No," Alex said, eyes fixed on the mirror. "It's not a physical key. The missing element is a personal sacrifice." Eleanor's final entry wasn't just a clue, it was a warning. Lily's face paled further. "What do you mean?" "One of us has to die." "Not just die," Alex replied, voice trembling. "We have to willingly give up something precious to us, something that means everything." A heavy silence fell over them, broken only by the mansion's groans and the spirit's howls. The group exchanged glances, the weight of the revelation sinking in. "Who?" Chris asked, his voice barely above a whisper. "Who will make the sacrifice?" The debate was intense, emotions running high as they argued over who should stay and who should go. True characters and hidden dynamics surfaced, revealing their deepest fears and regrets. Chris, ever the logical thinker, tried to volunteer, but Alex shook their head. "No, Chris, it has to be me. I am the one who brought us here. I'm the one who didn't believe. This is my responsibility." Tears streamed down Lily's face. "But Alex, you can't. There has to be another way." Alex placed a reassuring hand on her shoulder. "It's the only way, Lily. I need to confront Eleanor, face to face. Maybe I can reason with her, find a way to end this without any more death." With a determined nod, Alex approached the mirror, its surface now a swirling vortex of darkness and light. They took a deep breath, steeling themselves for the final confrontation. "I'm going in," Alex said, voice steady. "Keep reading from the diary, Chris. It might help." As Alex stepped into the mirror's depths, the mansion's chaos seemed to pause, as if holding its breath. They found themselves in a shadowy, distorted version of the grand ballroom, where Eleanor's spirit awaited. Her eyes, once hollow, now burned with a fierce, malevolent intelligence. "Why have you come?" Eleanor's voice was a chilling whisper, echoing through the void. "I came to end this," Alex said, standing tall despite the fear gnawing at their insides. "To free the spirits you've trapped, and to lift the curse." Eleanor's laugh was a bitter, hollow sound. "You think you can just waltz in here and undo my work? You're a fool." "No," Alex replied, voice firm. "I know what you've lost, Eleanor. I know the pain you've endured. But this cycle of suffering has to end. I'm willing to sacrifice myself to make that happen." Eleanor's expression shifted, a flicker of something almost human in her eyes. "You would give your life? For what? For them?" She gestured to the shadowy figures surrounding them, the trapped spirits. "Yes," Alex said simply. "For them and for my friends. This has to end." In that moment, the mansion's walls seemed to close in, the air thick with the weight of centuries of torment. Alex felt a crushing pressure, as if the spirits were testing their resolve. They closed their eyes, accepting their fate, and felt a strange, soothing warmth envelop them. Back in the mansion, Chris and Lily watched in stunned silence as the mirror glowed, then shattered into a million pieces. The spirits' wails turned into sighs of relief, the oppressive energy lifting like a heavy fog dissipating. Alex's body lay still, their face serene. The ultimate sacrifice had been made, and the curse of Blackwood Mansion was finally broken. The spirits were free, and the mansion, once a place of horror, now stood in silent peace. Chris and Lily knelt by Alex's side, tears streaming down their faces. They had lost a friend, but gained a deeper understanding of bravery, sacrifice, and the true power of confronting one's fears. The final confrontation had revealed not just the darkness of Blackwood Mansion, but the enduring light of human spirit. Chapter 8: Aftermath. The morning sun cast its gentle light over Blackwood Mansion, a stark contrast to the chaos of the night before. The once menacing shadows had receded, leaving behind an eerie silence. The mansion, though still aged and decayed, seemed to breathe a sigh of relief, its oppressive weight lifted. Chris and Lily stood in the foyer, their expressions a mix of exhaustion and quiet relief. The spirits that had haunted the mansion for so long were finally at peace. The air was lighter, and the rooms no longer echoed with ghostly wails. As they moved through the mansion, they saw the subtle signs of the curse lifting. The once blood-stained walls now bore only faint traces of their former horrors, and the cold spots that had chilled them to the bone were gone. The mansion was still haunted by its past, but the malevolent presence had dissipated. In the grand parlor, they found Axe, now a spectral figure, watching over the mansion with a calm, serene expression. Alex's sacrifice had been the key to breaking the curse, and though they were no longer among the living, their presence was a comforting one. Lily approached Alex's spirit, tears streaming down her face. "Thank you, Alex, for everything. You saved us." Alex's ghostly form nodded, a faint smile on their lips. "It was the only way. You and Chris need to live, to tell the story. Make sure others know what happened here." Chris joined them, his usually stoic face softened by emotion. "We won't forget you, Alex. You've changed us forever." The surviving group members reflected on their experiences, each deeply altered by the horrors they had endured. Chris, once a skeptic, now carried a deep respect for the supernatural. He realized that not everything could be explained by logic and science, and that some mysteries were better left unexplored. Lily, who had always been sensitive to the spiritual world, found a new strength within herself. She had faced her fears head-on and survived, emerging stronger and more resilient. Her bond with Chris had deepened, forged in the crucible of their shared ordeal. As they left the mansion, they paused at the threshold, looking back one last time. The mansion, now quiet and still, held a lingering unease, a reminder that some secrets might never be fully laid to rest. Yet, there was also a sense of closure, a feeling that the spirits within had finally found peace. Outside, the small town seemed to welcome them back into the world of the living. The townspeople, who had always whispered about the haunted mansion on the hill, would soon hear the truth of what had transpired. Chris and Lily would tell their story, ensuring that the legacy of Blackwood Mansion was known. In the distance, a faint breeze rustled the leaves, carrying with it a whisper of the past. The mansion stood as a silent sentinel, a monument to the horrors and heroism that had unfolded within its walls. And though its secrets were now known, it remained a place of mystery, forever marked by the shadows of the night. As they walked away, Alex's spirit lingered at the window, watching over the mansion and its new, quieter existence. Their sacrifice had not been in vain, and the peace they had brought would endure. Blackwood Mansion, once a place of terror, was now a place of rest, its dark history finally laid to rest. The survivors moved forward, forever changed, but carrying with them the lessons and scars of their ordeal. The story of Blackwood Mansion would live on, a testament to the power of courage, sacrifice, and the enduring spirit of humanity.